Hi, this is Dr. Scott, and today we're going to get into the first part of our series. This one is the video history of COVID, the fakery of the masks. Now you're going, I thought you were talking about like the Nasara stuff. Do you understand that the COVID stuff, the information about the COVID area is the cover of the Nasara thing? It's the military cover that they let the deep state do this. Now you're going, that's really sick. You know, there still has to be some ugliness in this. This is the ugliness. The deep state had put all of their eggs in this basket. Now, they mitigated some of the loss, but you know what? You cannot stop all of it. And so we're gonna show several different uh, memes. We're gonna show you some different pictures, but we're gonna do a little bit of a history, a very small history, and then we're gonna show you lots of different videos here. Okay, I'm gonna show you something from Middle Ages. I'm a history buff. I'm not going to show you every little bit, but when I first started seeing some of the masks, this is what I see when I look at the masks. Middle Ages, we have the plague. Now, there are actually three different types of plague points. Bubonic plague was the classic one out there, but they had this little beak-like thing. Now, I actually found I named it a moronic history, and I cut it down here. We're going to show you this little thing, and it was done by, I think it's NBC if I remember right, but I could be wrong. I think it's maybe a CBS one with that too. Listen to this one here by history, and I'm going to show you how stupid the guy actually was here about the 1910 one with that too. Oops, sorry. I clicked on the wrong thing there. Excuse me.
Turns out that wearing a mask during a pandemic has a long history behind it. Mark Phillips offers us a crash course.
I guess the first question is, do we need these things during
First off, they start off with the moronic masks, like 12 feet away, and they ask a question with that too, right? I mean, it's just, come on.
this interview?
Well, I would say no, because we're appropriately distanced, more than 2 meters apart, and we're also outside.
All right, let's take them off.
I think we should.
And
My
roll
glasses
the
are fogging
dice.
up already.
The man behind the mask is Mark Honigsbaum, a medical historian.
Now think about that for a second. Take your masks off because we're outside. How many people today are wearing masks outside? It's only the freak lefties who are doing that. It tells you something about the political nature of this animal with that too. So this moron decides to write a book about pandemic century with it.
Author of books like The Pandemic Century. He knows from masks, going back to their first known medical use, during the Black Death, the bubonic plague of the Middle Ages that killed roughly half of Europe's population. And those were some masks.
Everybody probably is familiar with the classic image of the beaked physician, the plague doctor.
That the plague
Now think about this. I want to pause for a second because what you need to understand about this situation is this is where we get the nature of herd immunity. And we're going to talk about this more later, but herd immunity comes from what would happen. It was to go through the whole community. The community would get very sick. Then a number of them would die. And it could be 30%, it could be 50%. And that was the range in the Middle Ages. And then the kids and the adults, and obviously the grandparents, it would be the older people that would die first, but you would have all kinds of ranges that would die. And then it would take until the grandkids or the kids would be grandparents or adults before it would actually come back. So you would actually skip a generation before that plague would come back, unless you would have one of the other diseases that would show up in that town. No, you could have a different type of disease. That's why it wasn't just bubonic plague, it was one of the other different plagues. Now, herd immunity means you want everyone to get as sick as possible so that it could actually flow through, and then it gets over with that too. Now, it's kind of harsh, but that's actually what herd immunity actually means, and we screwed around with that meaning in COVID timeframe.
Plague doctors looked like ravens about to pick on the bones of the dead is an image that sticks with you. The masks may have been useless against the disease, which was carried by rats and fleas, but they did actually serve a purpose.
They would wear this beak, and they would put lavender in the beak as a way of acting as a barrier to the noxious vapors that were thought to spread this dreadful contagion.
Now think about that for a second. They put lavender, they put other types of things. They put actually a type of thieves, and this is where we actually have an immunity. Thieves actually is a type of things that thieves were utilized, and it was an antibacterial, kind of thing that is utilized today. But see, none of these people want to talk about that. But it was also lavender. Yes, lavender was a type of for nice fumes that you would smell for flowers. So you put roses or something in your smell, and he was kind of saying it didn't really do anything. Start of the thought process with that too. I want you to implant that idea with that too, okay? Scientifically, did it really do anything? Now, think about the guy's face right there.
Or somehow counteract these bad odors.
The idea that disease could be carried in the air endured for centuries, but it wasn't actually proven until the Great Manchurian Plague of 1910-11. And
Hypothesized that it wasn't being spread by the usual plague flea route, but by respiratory droplets. From
person to person.
Yeah.
So Wu and
Respirated drops, which means drops between two people. That's not exactly true, because we're talking about drops that are particles so tiny that it goes between that. And see, I'm going to show you a little bit more about this, but it's ridiculous that you could stop it with just a bit of a cloth with that too.
his staff wore masks.
Long story short, they didn't catch pneumonic plague, whereas the French doctor we worked with did and died as a result.
French doctor who did not wear the mask.
He didn't wear the mask. He dismissed it. I suppose there could have been an element of who is this sort of, presumptuous young Chinese doctor to tell me I know better, right?
Now think about that for a second. I mean, just consider the point that he's saying there. One doctor didn't wear it, the other doctor did wear it, and that's the scientific basis of a study. Huh? That's your study point that's the starting place that you did that kind of thing from? And I want you to see how ridiculous this actually comes from here. We're going to kind of mute the sound here because it has music in the background with that too. This is what they were doing. They didn't even have it, this is in 1910 range. Look at the silliness of these masks. Most people weren't even wearing it. What were they doing? They're not even covering their face. Was it really helping? Was it making a difference? Did it stop the plague? Huh. Really? Only the vaccinated died. Interesting point that we need to actually think about more than we need to think about the concept of the masks. See, this is the maskaholic idea. And I'm going to show you an interesting other way of thinking about it as well. See, they actually came up with concepts like this. Sorry, bring my glasses over. So if respirative drops are stopped from this, why would you have a hole in there to smoke? Huh? I want you to see something that I actually bought, because when I wanted to go on an airplane, I want you to see this. I'm going to show you something I actually bought. And I want you to see this kind of thing. This is what the mask that I did, and no one gave me any crap about it when I went on an airplane. Now, I want you to see it up close with that kind of thing too. Do you notice that it's actually see-through? It's funny because no, I could breathe through that one because it has holes. Come on, idiots. Don't think that one through. I'm not calling you an idiot. I'm calling the system an idiot. There were so many musicians who cut holes in their masks so that it could look like it worked okay. Come on, think this one through. So many people didn't even wear their mask correctly, and they still don't even to this day. How well are you actually being prepared for a mask? There's so much ridiculous stupidity going on with that kind of thing. And they don't even understand that this has been a tool of the slavery that comes, and then they don't even think of it this way, but they utilize this kind of thing, that it is a slavery point, and they bought into that idea. Okay. So let's show you a couple. This is a woman who actually talked against this area here.
I'm okay now, but I saw firsthand that medicine does not always have answers to the consequences of even minor viruses. The COVID-19 pandemic has thrown that into sharper relief. 1 in 10 infections leads to long COVID, which is a devastating neurological cardiovascular illness that can take away people's ability to work, move, see, and even think, stands to exacerbate our homelessness crisis, as well as the suffering of many people in our city. It hits communities of color, disabled people, elderly people, trans people, women, and anyone in a public-facing essential job the hardest. To confront the long COVID crisis, I demand mask availability, air filtration, and far UVC light in government facilities, including jails and detention centers, and mask mandates in county medical facilities. We must expand the availability of high-quality free tests and treatment, and most importantly, the county must oppose mask bans for any reason. They do not keep us safer. They make vulnerable members of our community less safe and make everyone less able to participate in Los Angeles together. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
She had to say it fast, because every time they would say it, I mean, they just said their little piece, but they didn't care. They never did care with that kind of thing. Because the reality that happens with masks is these things have never worked. Anyone who knows anything about this is that it never has worked. It has to be an N95 mask with a custom kind of capability. If you are a painter, you actually have more capability of protecting yourself than any of these other things. Why isn't someone wearing gloves? Come on. We don't even understand what we're looking at here. Look at this one. Oops, sorry. Keep clicking on the wrong area. Sorry about that. This one is a really interesting point of O2 sensors that are missing.
The Irish government is asking our children to wear masks for 6 to 8 hours every single day.
Now I see this all the time. Look at her glasses. I see this. I mean, I remember, the same thing when I had to wear a little bit every once in a while, in some public place, and they were freaking out. I mean, my glasses, my glasses were fogging up with that. It's ridiculous. I remember, yeah, I finally quit the gym over this mask issue. If I was close to someone and just, it was funny. If I was playing basketball by myself, I had to wear a mask. If I played with other people and it was more physical, I didn't have to wear the mask. Come on, let's make sense. Make it make sense, right?
The Irish government is asking for children to wear masks for 6 to 8 hours every single day. Anything over 700 parts per million of carbon dioxide can lead to headache, drowsiness, anoxia, cerebral injury, coma, or even death at over 5,000 parts per million. And you can do this on yourself. You can do this on anyone. It's just a professional carbon dioxide detector. Oh my God. When it's at dangerous levels, the alarm will go off. When it's at dangerous levels, the alarm will go off. Oh my. Okay, this is dangerous. How long did I have my mask on for? They're asking our children to be masked for 6 to 8 hours a day. What's that?
5 hours.
Nearly 8.
So you can have it on for less than for a minute or two, and yet we have a dangerous level of carbon dioxide. And you wonder why people are messed up with that kind of thing too.
When you drink bottled water, you're consuming microplastics, up to 300 microplastics every time, and up to 130,000 microplastics per year. So I'm looking into what these masks are made of, especially ones you could buy at Walmart, and a majority of them consist of recycled plastic. So what are the chances that we're inhaling microplastic all day long? Disregarding all these little fibers that are hanging off, but actual microplastics that we're inhaling directly into our lungs. Never mind, I looked it up, and yes, you are inhaling microplastics. My favorite page on the National Institute of Health. This page talks about the current standards of the masks. They also talk about ethylene oxide, which is a common sterilization agent used to disinfect medical devices. And yes, they put this stuff on your masks. And according to the EPA, long-term exposure to ethylene oxide in humans can cause irritation in the eyes, nose, throat, lungs, and damage to the brain and nervous system. Also increases the risk of lymphoid cancer and breast cancer.
So we wonder why there might be higher rates of cancer based upon this kind of thing. And this even makes it even stronger when you see what kids were doing in this way. Every time we put a mask on little kids, this is what their responses were. They're trying to suck in oxygen because of what we were doing to them. I'm telling you, this is part of the crimes against humanity. This is Executive Order 13818. And this is actually a cuter one in this kind of way here, but I'll show you this kind of thing here. This is what a little kid did when she saw her mom have a mask on. Like, what are you doing? We kind of think it's funny, but is it really funny? You see, it disengages the brain to think things through. This is one of my favorite ones that we had. I'll show you this little caveat here that I found fascinating.
I don't.
I can give you one.
You can give me one?
Sorry.
Hi.
You have a mask?
No, I don't.
I can give you one.
You can give me one?
I can give you one.
Why do
I need you to wear a mask.
So you can hand me a mask,
I can hand you one, yeah.
but you can't hand me the drink without a mask?
You've got to wear a mask.
How does that make any sense?
That's what I just need you to wear a mask. Do you mind?
Well, if you can hand me a mask, why can't you just hand me the drink?
I can hand you the mask.
So he can hand me a mask, but he can't hand me my drink. Makes perfect sense, right?
You see, people, they had policies in place, probably on a Starbucks, idiot Starbucks place. But see, what you have to see is that they have policies in place, and there is a satanic response that was coming in. And we're going to show a lot more about this. Oops, sorry. I keep clicking on the wrong thing. Sorry about that. It's a little difficult area because I keep looking at my side screen with that kind of thing too. The satanic thing, and I've asked this question over and over again. Why is it 6 feet apart? Why did you have to be 6 feet apart? Why were we wearing a mask? Why did we have to do this particular way of doing this? Because we had 6 feet apart. We were wearing masks. It was all a part of the Luciferian ritual that we were doing. Why is it not 7 feet apart? Why is it that when you watch, I mean, I remember even more recently, it was a couple of years ago, and I went into a Tulsa restaurant, and the woman was just like almost having a hissy fit that I didn't have a mask on. So I shoved the mask on. She was like, well, you ought to have it on. And I'm like, so I have a mask on, and I did this until she did it. And then I took it off and I sat it down. As soon as I sat down, you could have the mask off as you sat down. So as long as you're 6 feet up, you don't have to have the mask on. As soon as you sit down, you can have the mask off. Where does that make any sense? Where is the thought process? See, they're disengaged from the thought process. It goes right into the stupidity here. It goes right into the mentality loss that we still keep coming. It's because no one even believed it. Even these morons didn't believe it. It was all theater to them. It was complete theater. They didn't have to wear the masks whatsoever. I'll show you another little piece of a point that they thought about. You can't sit with us unless you're wearing a mask, Swalwell, right? My mask protects you. Your mask protects me. It's really that simple. Real men don't hide their faces. Is Swalwell still wearing his mask all the time? Oh, he's not. Huh. When did he stop wearing his mask? When he didn't need it anymore? And one of my favorite pictures, my absolute favorite pictures of them all, and I'll leave you with this one, is this. This is a school board, and I want you to see this. The kids forced to wear the mask, and not one school board member had a mask on. Think on that one for half a second. Not one school board member had a mask on. Not one of them. Not one single one of these idiotic criminals had their mask on. And yet every single one of the kids were forced to have a mask on. This is criminal behavior. This is actually 100% criminal behavior. And this is the kind of stuff that we allowed in our school systems, we allowed in government agencies, and we allowed all the way through and through. This is just in the mask areas. We're going to talk a little bit more about this, but this was the satanic ritual that we had. And I know you go, well, yeah, I've already heard about this. This isn't a big issue. And I go, yeah, I hear you. But this is Warp Speed. This was Operation Warp Speed. It was pushing forward the plan. They were doing their thing. We had to do the military operation. We were wiping them out left and right from 2020 on. They were losing. This is been going on for a long time. That's why I've been showing you the video evidence of Nasara. And now we're seeing some of the video evidence of the COVID thing. But underneath the stuff that makes you mad when you see this is the death of what they were trying to do. The death of their systems. But unfortunately, it's as many as 10 to 20 million people who are dying around it. And yet, I'm going to charge that they have created crimes against humanity. So it's the media who supported the lie and pushed the mask mandates and pushed the COVID mandates, pushed on the vaccine mandates. It's the government who did this, and it's Hollywood. So all of those three people, those three different types of people, as well as anyone else that went along with that kind of thing, they're part of the crimes against humanity. And that also says that they lose it all. They lose everything. So we're going to start seeing this come to fruition, and you're going to start saying, wow, this is going to be a different kind of world around us. You're going to be a part of this. You're going to have to fill in the gap. And that's why I keep pushing on people, fill in the gap. So like and subscribe, it really helps me out. But you know what? I keep pushing on you because you are going to have to take in the gap of the media. You're going to have to take in the gap of building the movies again. You're going to have to take in the gap of being in the government kind of area. It's going to be you. Thanks so much.